Hello everyone, welcome to Lesson 3, which is Jose Rizal's journey to his early education. During the time of Rizal, education was characterized by 4 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic, and religion. At the age of 3, the young Jose already knew how to read and write. This was because of his mother, who took care of his first education. His mother also hired private tutors to enhance the learning and talent of Jose Rizal. He had Maestro Celestino as his first tutor, Maestro Lucas Padua and Leon Monroy, who lived with their family and taught Rizal Spanish and Latin, but because of his age, he did not live long and died after 5 months. Jose Rizal also has his uncle Jose Alberto. He gave Jose a wise direction in the studies of Jose. Jose also had his uncle Gregorio, who instilled into the mind of Jose the love for education. There was once he said to Rizal, "Work hard and perform every task very carefully. Learn to be swift as well as thorough. Be independent in thinking and make visual pictures of everything." This was the thought that Uncle Gregorio of Jose Rizal instilled in the mind of the young Jose. He also had Uncle Manuel Alberto, who sees Jose was frail in nature, concerned himself with the physical development of his nephew, and taught him arm wrestling. He also taught Rizal the love for open air and admiration for the beauty of nature. However, his education learned from home was not sufficient. So his father, Don Francisco, decided to send him to the fishing village in Binyan for his primary education. In June 1869, at the age of 8, Jose Rizal needed to leave his family to study in Binyan. With tears in his eyes, he left Calamba and his brother Pasiano accompanied him to Binyan. The two brothers rode the Karomata. For 1.5 hours, they arrived in Binyan. Jose lodged in the house of his Aunt Isabel. The beautiful scenery in the place did not appeal to the young Jose because of his homesickness. Jose Rizal's first day in Binyan. The school was 30 meters away from the house of his aunt, and also the house of his teacher, Maestro Justiniano Cruz, which was described by Rizal as tall, thin, long-necked, with a sharp nose and body slightly bent forward. And he used to wear sinamay shirt, and he knew by heart the grammars by Nebrija and Gainza. Jose Rizal experienced being scolded by Maestro Justiniano Cruz because he was asked if he knew Latin and Spanish, and he answered un poco, or a little. His maestro wanted that his students should study their lesson and be ready before coming to school, so he had the reward and punishment as his method of teaching. During those times, teachers were allowed to scold their students so that they would have discipline. According to his diary, Jose did not want to remember the number of beatings that he experienced, but the lessons from those beatings. For Rizal, the sadistic method of learning was beneficial, since he was encouraged to study harder and perform above what was expected. Jose Rizal, during his stay in Binyan or during his primary education in Binyan, has become a victim of bullying. After the incident in the classroom, young Jose met the bully, Pedro, who laughed at him during his conversation with Maestro Justiniano. Jose then challenged Pedro to a fight, and the latter accepted because he thought that he could beat Jose, for he was smaller than him. But Jose learned the art of armless wrestling from his Tío Manuel, so he was able to defeat a taller boy than him. After the fight, he gained respect from his other classmates. Jose Rizal developed the other aspects of his personality to avoid bullying. To compensate for his small physique, he studied arm wrestling, fencing, and various aspects of art. That is at the age of 8. What was Jose Rizal's daily life in Binyan? His life in Binyan was simple and well-disciplined, and this training contributed a lot to his development as a person and as a hero. He lived in Binyan as a well-disciplined student. But there was one instance that his cousin asked him to join them in playing near the river, and then his cousin pushed him because he was not aware that he was not a good swimmer. Luckily, their companions saved him, and because of that, he avoided joining his cousin in his escapades. According to his memories, this was his daily life in Binyan. Here was my life. I heard the 4 o'clock mass. If there was any, or I studied my lesson at that hour, and I went to mass afterwards. I returned home, and I went to the orchard to look for a mabolo to eat. Then, I took breakfast, which consisted generally of a dish of rice and 2 dried small fish. And I went to class, from which I came out at 10 o'clock. I went home at once. If there was one special dish, Leandro and I took some of it to the house of his children, and I returned without saying a word. I ate with them, and afterwards, I studied. I went to school at 2 and came out at 5. I prayed a short while with some nice cousin, and I returned home. I studied my lessons. I drew a little, and afterwards, I took my supper, consisting of 1 or 2 dishes of rice with an ayungin. We prayed, and if there was a moon, my nieces invited me to play in the street together with others. Thank God that I never got sick away from my parents. This was a part of the diary of Rizal, stating his experiences during his stay in his primary education in Binyan. His stay in Binyan brought him success. Maestro Justiniano Cruz used corporal punishment to inculcate discipline to his students. Jose didn't want to remember the number of beatings that he gained from Maestro Cruz, but those beatings encouraged him to do his best in order to master the skills in Latin, Spanish, and other subjects. And because of his intelligence and perseverance, he became the top student in his class and gained the admiration of his teacher. After his class with Maestro, he had a painting lesson with old Juancho. He was able to improve his painting skills and became one of the favorite painters in the class. The young Jose Rizal experienced the simple and useless life like other normal children. His training and happy memories were the foundation of his personality. Although he disapproved of the sadistic method of teaching, as he stated in Noli Me Tangere, but the discipline that he gained from this method contributed a lot as he pursued his higher education. One of his success when Rizal was 8 years old is the creation of the Sa Aking Mga Kabata or To My Fellow Youth poem. Ito ang may tuturing na unang tula na isinulat sa katutubong wika ni Dr. Jose Rizal na pinamagatang Sa Aking Mga Kabata or To My Fellow Youth in English term. Kapag ka ang bayay sadyang umiibig sa kanyang salitang kaloob ng langit, sanlang kalayaan na saring masapi, katulad ng ibong nasa himpapawid. Pagkat ang salita'y isang kahatulan sa bayan sa nayot mga kaharian, at ang isang tao'y katulad, kabagay ng alinmang likha noong kalayaan. Ang hindi magmahal sa kanyang salita, mahigit sa hayop at malansang isda, kaya ang marapat pagyamaning kusa na tulad sa inang tunay na nagpala. Ang wikang Tagalog tulad din sa Latin, sa Ingles, Kastila at salitang anghel, sapagkat ang poong maalam tumingin ang siyang naggawad, nagbigay sa atin. Ang salita nati tulad din sa iba na may alfabeto at sariling letra, na kaya nawalay dinatnan ng sigwa ang lunday sa lawa noong dakong una. Ipinapakita sa unang talata na kahit noong bata pa lamang si Rizal ay nakita na niya ang kahalagahan ng wikang pambansa. Ayon sa kanya, kung taos-pusong mamahalin ng mga tao ang kanilang pambansang wika, ay taos-puso rin nilang ipaglalaban ang kanilang kalayaan. Ito raw ay parang isang ibong lumilipad ng malaya sa himpapawid. Ang wika ay hinahalin tulad ni Rizal sa mamamayang ipinanganak sa kalayaan. Sa panahon noon, ang Pilipinas ay naging alipin sa kamay ng mga Kastila. Ganon pa man, sinasabi ni Rizal sa talatang ito na kahit na ang bansa ay parang nasa bilangguan ng mga dayuhan, ang kanilang pagmamahal at pagtatangkilik sa sariling wika ay magiging simbolo na rin ng kanilang pagkatao, ang pagka-Pilipino. Dito sa pangatlong saknong nating makikita ang isa sa mga pinakatanyag na kasabihan ni Rizal. Ayon sa kanya, ang wika raw kay nangangailangan ng pag-aaruga, gaya ng pag-aalaga ng ina sa kanyang anak. Inihahalin tulad niya ang pambansang wika sa isang sanggol na kailangang alagaan at mahalin. Ayon kay Rizal, ang wikang Tagalog ay singhalaga, ang singtulad lamang ng wikang Latin, Ingles, Kastila at salitang anghel. Hindi ito dapat minamaliit kapag ikinukumpara sa wika ng iba, mas mauunlad na basa, sapagkat iisa lamang ang Diyos na nagbigay bunga sa lahat ng wika ng mundo. Ang panghuling sakno ay sinasabi ni Jose Rizal na ang wika ng mga Pilipino ay tulad nga din ng iba pang wika. Mayroon ding sariling alpabeto. Maaring tinutukoy ni Rizal dito ang alibata o ang lumang alpabetong Pilipino na talaga namang nag-iisa ang walang katulad. Ngunit, ayon kay Rizal, ang mga letra ng ating katutupong alpabeto ay parang natangoy sa malalaking alon na parang mga bangka. Jose Rizal's return to Calamba. December 1870, he received a letter from his sister Saturnina, advising him to ride the steamer Talim that would bring him back to Calamba. Knowing that this would be the end of his stay in Binyan, Jose Rizal went to the Chapel of the Virgin of Peace of Antipolo, went to the river to gather stones as souvenir, made paper fishes, and bade goodbye to his classmates and teachers. In December 17, 1870, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon of Saturday, he reached his home at Calamba, and this ended his homesickness and longing for his family. This ends lesson 3. Good luck to your preliminary examination and review it.